Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. Let's talk about the most recent episode of Supergirl, which was called Welcome Back, Kara, which I think might be a reference to Welcome Back, Kotter. I don't know. Could just be that I'm old and have a lot of things bouncing around in my head. Anyway, the episode opens with Brainiac delivering a cake to celebrate Kara's return while she is recuperating under yellow sun lamps in costume for some reason. I don't know why that would be in her super suit. Okay. It turns out she's very traumatized and says that she couldn't handle anything with phantoms in it at this moment in time, whether it's Phantom of the Opera or Star Wars or Scooby-Doo. And then she says, especially Star Wars, which is kind of funny. But then there's a proper reunion, which is different from when she first was rescued at the end of the last episode that aired before this one. She hugs everybody. And the hug with Lena was awesome because those two have just been through so much as a friend pair. And I just thought it was really great. And she says something like, I'm only here because of you. I only made it. I'm only still here because of you. So that was really cool. Mr. Zor-El, Kara's father, asks to see what Kara's daily life is like. So he goes with her and Dreamer to Catco. Kara's boss asks her to contact Supergirl and do a story on the phantom attacks that took place while she was gone, which, by the way, the boss thinks was because of a trip she took to interview someone that then backed out of the interview. Kara didn't know about the phantom attacks up to that point. She was very dismayed to hear about them. So she goes and she asks Dreamer a little bit about it. And I guess they said they didn't tell her because they didn't want her to feel badly. She, of course, feels badly and thinks that it is her fault. That it happened because they were trying to rescue her. But anyway, she's also dismayed to have to do the story because it's about phantoms and she didn't want to deal with the whole phantom thing. So anyway, that happens. Kara also learns that the guy she was kind of dating before she was taken away, I don't remember quite, or before she gets sent to the Phantom Zone, I don't quite remember what that deal was, but I guess she liked him, but he now has someone, so that's something else that she had to deal with. Kara and her dad later fly up to deal with a piece of space junk or like a satellite that's falling back to Earth from a decaying orbit, and they are able to deal with it successfully. It lands they break it up into pieces and it lands into a garbage pile that's in the middle of the ocean. Kara's father mentions to her that he's noticed that Earth's oceans are dying, just like Krypton's oceans died right before the end, and he vows to protect Earth from experiencing Krypton's fate. And to help him with that, Kara takes him to the Fortress of Solitude so that he can dig through Krypton's records and look at, exactly what happened and try to draw parallels to Earth and try to figure out a solution. And, it still looks different on this show than on Superman and Lois, which they haven't explained, but that's okay. Her father then repurposes a Kryptonian robot that I guess was performing certain tasks at the Fortress of Solitude, and he renames it Oscar because of Oscar the Grouch in Sesame Street, whom I guess he witnessed on TV shortly after he arrived on Earth, because the robot's going to clean up garbage. Kara's boss suits up into her other persona and goes snooping at Luthor Manor. She's trying to get dirt on Luthor, I guess. Oscar, meanwhile, goes haywire while he's cleaning up the trash and begins to add garbage to his mass rather than just destroying it. And they can't seem to contact him. They can't recall him. So Supergirl armors up to go get him because it was determined that there was kryptonite somewhere in all of the debris because some of it was from LexCorp, some was from the DOD, I guess. And so she has to wear the suit, which is cool. I like seeing the armor suit. Meanwhile, her dad, John, Brainiac, Lena, and Alex discover that the robot is overheating to the point where he's going to explode with the force of a nuclear bomb. Yet they say they still can't exactly find him, that he's disappeared off of the systems. I guess they were getting that from telemetry from him, but the telemetry didn't contain a geolocation, which doesn't make sense. And by the way, if something's getting that hot, there isn't a satellite in space that can't see it. So it was a little weird that they were trying to say they didn't know where it was exactly. But anyway, Oscar actually emerges from the ocean. He had gone down under the water. Emerges from the ocean as a giant walking pile of dangerous garbage. And he attacks some sanitation workers. So now he's gone from destroying garbage to try to protect garbage for some reason. Brainiac taunts Oscar so that it will, I guess, absorb him or try to absorb him while he delivers a virus into it, as Supergirl attacks but gets hit with some kryptonite that's emanating from the DEO trash that Oscar has built up around himself, and it breaches her armor, and she kind of goes down for a couple minutes. Dreamer and Alex take Oscar out while also protecting Supergirl, returning him to his prior state, and Supergirl then hurls the rest of the trash into the sun. Kara's dad decides that he's going to head to Argo City, but he says that he feels guilty over what happened to Krypton and making similar errors on Earth when he just tried to solve this one problem. And Kara assures him that all his guilt is unnecessary. The guy that Kara was interested accidentally coins the phrase super friends while he's discussing Team Supergirl with Kara's boss, who wants him to write a puff piece on each of the individual members of Team Supergirl. So for like a big puff piece profile thing on Supergirl, I guess because she realizes they kind of have access where other outlets don't. She's trying to boost the paper's position in, you know, like polls and sales and stuff. Lana decides to leave National City to go get in touch with her roots back home. Now, I don't know what that means. The show is coming to an end in like 13 episodes, so I don't think she'd leave the show, but maybe she did. That would stink because I like that character a lot, so I hope that's not what that means. We'll have to see. Kara, back at her apartment, ends up breaking down a little bit with Alex over her loneliness while in the Phantom Zone, and it sort of looks like that loneliness, you know, what she experienced has kind of scarred her quite a bit, but Alex promises they'll get through it and, you know, deal with her trauma together. The only other thing that happens in this episode is Kara's boss wakes up in the middle of the night as if from a nightmare and says the word Nixel. It's the name of Nixel, that woman imp from the fourth dimension that rode back to Earth on Team Supergirl's coattails when they left the Phantom Zone. So why she's saying that word or that name, we don't know, but I assume we'll see more about that next week. This was a good episode as a return from hiatus. It had some cool action stuff. It had some cool character moments that, you know, sort of dealt with what happened to Kara while she was in the Phantom Zone. The only thing is that it's going to get dinged by the anti-SJW crowd because of its very obvious environmental messaging. You know, it was kind of like hard to avoid the fact that they deliberately put in messaging about the environment. So that's going to get the show critiques from the anti-woke crowd. But anyway, that's where we are. The show's coming back again next week because, as I said, we have about 12 more episodes now. So I'll be back with reviews of those as they come out. Until then, I take my leave and I say, as always, peace and long life.